Hey there, and welcome to Means. What's going on back there? Hey, I'm Caleb with Means Woodshop, and this isn't a project video, so if you're here for that and you're not here for this table saw review I'm about to do, then check out the most recent video, which as of right now is the shot glass tray, which it's pretty cool, walnut and crepe myrtle. So check that out. What I'm gonna do is we're actually gonna be talking about this Harbor Freight table saw. I'd kind of been wanting to do a review on this. Fucking spider. Where'd you go? He just went under the miter gauge. I don't know where he went. I got this saw back in October of 2017, so I've been using it for about 7 months. There are things that are okay, and there are things that I don't like, which I'll go over with you. And I've watched multiple different Harbor Freight table saw reviews. This is unplugged, by the way, so I can touch the blade. I feel like some of them don't go into a lot of detail or anything exact about this saw. It's either guys that have or have used really high-end table saws and already have high-end tools and equipment, and they're just, they already have the money for that, and they already have those tools, so they just try this out just to do a YouTube tool review, and it's like, yeah, it's a piece of junk. I don't like it. That's a bad saw. Go spend $2,000 on a good table saw. It'll do you good, buddy. There are some guys where they just kind of put it together and they turn it on. It's like, yeah, it's a saw. Not that great, kind of cheap, but it's a saw. So I wanna kind of change that. And why is there a herd of ducks in here? What's happening today? And now they're terrified because they see me standing there, so they're like going in big circles. So here's the front of the saw, and when you first buy it. This table saw is cheap for a table saw, and this I think it was everything at Harbor Freight's on sale. This was on sale for I think like 140 something, and I went ahead and got a warranty on it, and my total was about 175 if I'm remembering correctly. Let me give you some details first before I go into my opinion as what I think is bad, what I think is good, what I recommend or not recommend. So here you got the knob. That's just the tilt of the blade. I find that when I pull this all the way back with the blade up, they did a good job at keeping it square. And of course, here's your blade height adjust. I've seen other saws where it's on the side. Another thing is the saw, of course, like any table saw you'll buy, comes with a miter gauge. And what I like about this miter gauge is, even though Harbor Freight has its reputation for selling low-end tools and poor quality stuff, is the miter gauge, when I have it set to 0, I could double check it and it is actually square with the blade, which is pretty nice. I do have a complaint with the miter gauge though. This yellow handle screws in, of course, to the bar, and you unscrew it to adjust your angle, obviously. It had a washer that went in there, a little plastic washer, and it almost stripped. The washer didn't strip out, but it's like the bottom of this handle. I really don't want to unscrew it because it took a lot of time and effort to screw it back in. I took the plastic washer out because it's like the top. I think the top of the bar was stripped, so this wasn't biting into it and it wasn't tightening, so I really couldn't use it, and still couldn't get this to feed through there. And then finally, I guess I just got it tight enough to where it finally bit in, and I was finally able to tighten it on 0. And that's a pain in the ass. I don't like the tabletop. I think this kind of top is pretty indicative of kind of like a contractor saw or like a job site saw. Actually, I'm going to start getting into things about the saw that I don't like. So one of the things that I don't like is the insert. I don't like because look how thin it is. It sits on this little lip. It clips in with these, and this pops it in place. with the way that's constructed, that leaves me no room to make my own zero clearance insert, because it would have to be that thin. Not only that, but it'd have to have a way to sit in there. So that, and while this is off, let me talk about something else I really don't like: the riving knife. In my last few videos, I think my last 2 or 3 project videos, you may have noticed that I don't have the riving knife up. Your riving knife is supposed to be perfectly in line with the blade. Let me show you what I'm dealing with. The riving knife isn't in here right, so when I'm pushing a board through, you know, it's cutting, it moves over just enough to where this happens. Or I don't know that it's bent or that it was just put in wrong, but it's not in line with the blade. It's over just a hair, maybe like a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch, to where it's catching the wood and I can't push it through all the way. So what I have to do, which is even more dangerous than just not using this, is I'm making a cut, pushing it through, wood gets stuck, and I have to not only, you know, holding this with a push stick, I have to take my other hand, which maybe I'm holding another push stick to hold it against the fence, move that over, and then push it. And what that's also going to do is I'm going to be making my cut, and this is going to push the wood a little bit. So not only it's going to make my cut not straight, because it's going to go through, it's going to push it, and the wood is going to move ever so slightly. So it's going to be taking off that much more material here than it is this part. So it's not going to be a perfectly flat, straight cut. I've been racking my brain over how to fix this. I watched another fellow who had a really helpful video on how to deal with this. He was saying something along the lines of there's like a hex nut or something up there, which you could adjust it horizontally, and then there was another adjust for vertically, and mine doesn't have that. I could see, I don't even know how it's held on there. It looks like there's a nut down here and a screw, but I think it's just holding this lever on, and there's a lever down here that you move up and down to adjust the height of this. And no matter where I adjust the height, where I put it, it's not in line with the blade. There are like baby spiders all over this saw. I use it all the time. There shouldn't be spiders nesting up in here. If anybody has any suggestions for that, I really wouldn't mind the help, because it's been stressing me day one from getting this. Let's talk about what this saw comes with. The blade that comes with this saw is this 10-inch carbide tipped blade, 36 tooth blade for wood. You can see I've used it a little bit. I really only used it for maybe like a week, and then I switched to DeWalt blade, and that blade did me very well for a long time. I know it's kind of dirty looking, but the blade did good for a long time, no complaints. Eventually I switched to the red Diablo blade that I have. You know, I really don't have any complaints about the blade. I feel like I get a cleaner, nicer cut with the Diablo and the DeWalt, but no complaints with the blade. The saw also comes with one plastic push stick. As you can see, I've modeled some more after this. Actually, after I made both of these, I haven't used this since I made these. I really wish I had a gripper. Micro jig, huh? You send me a gripper? It also comes with this wrench to change the blade. I swear it came with another wrench too, but I can't seem to find it. But those suck because, and you see, it's bent from trying to pop the nut loose to change the blade. It's kind of a piece of shit, but right. So let's get down to the dirtiest secret of this table saw, and that's the rip vent. I think the rip vents on this saw sucks. I feel like it's almost impossible to get it perfectly parallel with the blade. I really hate this fence. The fence just sucks. It doesn't slide easy. You gotta take extra time to measure, you know, from the front. All this extra time to fuss with it, and it's annoying. And I see guys with high-end table saws. They don't have to do that. Their fence could be here. They want to cut, you know, a piece this wide, and they just take the fence and just whoop, lock it down and make the cut without having to take their tape measure and, oh, is it perfect here? Is it perfect here? Oh no, it's a little wonky. I don't even know if there's an aftermarket fence that would go with a low-end table saw like this. I think I named off most of the things that I don't like about this saw the most. The fence, not so much the performance of the miter gauge, but the materials it's made out of. Let's wrap things up here with the Harbor Freight table saw. What I would recommend is if you do have the money to go ahead and get a higher quality saw, then I would recommend that that's what you do. Would I recommend this saw? If you've never used a table saw before, if you are just getting into woodworking, like just sticking your toes in the water to test and see if it's cold or not, yeah, $175. Getting this saw, despite the negative aspects that I mentioned, opened up an entire world of projects for me to make that I otherwise could not make without it. It performs like it's supposed to. I think for the money, for just if you're like, hey, I want to make some woodworking projects on the weekend, I don't have a lot of time to spend in a shop, then yeah, get this saw. It'll serve you well on the weekends. It's not as bad as what some people make it out to be. It performs, it does its job, but if I would recommend, if you do have the money to invest in a more expensive one, then I would recommend that you do that. I'll be honest here, it's not an awesome saw, and it does have the problems that I mentioned earlier. I think that about wraps up my Harbor Freight table saw review. If you like this review video, and if you want to see me review more tools, I have more Harbor Freight tools. Just like the video, maybe leave a comment that you liked it and wouldn't mind seeing more tool review videos. Yeah, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. Also, like I said, this is not the norm for me. If you want to see my weekly woodworking project videos, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell too, so you'll be updated every time I release a new video. So that's all I got for you. I'll see you next time.